Well, hello, my friends. How you doing out there? Are you doing well? I hope you are. I hope you are finding joy in your everyday life, in every situation that comes your way, even if it's a struggle, if it's a hard one, and that you're finding that going through it, you are creating more of what you want. Because really, the struggles and the hard things, it's part of our 50-50. It's part of what we're given in this life that we are going to have obstacles, right? Without the bitter, there wouldn't be the sweet. So it's just part of the deal. And I think the more that we're more open to it and accepting and realize that it's going to be there, the more we can actually gain power over it. And we can then start to decide how we want to live our life. So, talking about decide, I want to talk about time. So, what does time have to do with decide? Well, this is interesting. I was getting in a conversation with my husband not too long ago, and every once in a while I'll get into kind of a philosophical conversation with him. He is not a fan of it. That is not his thing. He's not really excited about, going down that route of kind of opening up to all the possibilities like I am. That's something that's more me that I enjoy. But I do appreciate every once in a while when he goes ahead and enlightens me or not enlightens me, but yeah, he does enlighten me with a lot of things he says, but allows me to share my perspective because sometimes he'll share his and it's completely not how I'm seeing it. And so I love that because then I can kind of try to see through his eyes how he's seeing it. And then I can decide, like, is that how I want to see it or do I see it a different way? So when it talks about decision and time, this is what I've come to see or observed as I got older in life. There's a saying that's gone around for many a years. You might have heard it. And it says, time heals all wounds. Now, as I was younger in life, I truly believed in that. Like, if I just give it time, then it will be easier. And there is some truth to that. I'm not saying that it's not true, but I was willing to kind of poke holes at it and just look at it and see, is that really the truth? Does time really heal all wounds? Because if you look at history, if you look back at history, you will see that there's many a times where time didn't heal all wounds. People were still angry about stuff. Like there would be battles between families and literally generations will go by and this family will still hate this other family and not even maybe even know why. Or you might have a friend that you've had in the past that you were angry with and still to this day you're angry with them. And if you saw them on the street, you wouldn't talk to them. So time really didn't heal that wound. So I want to kind of interject, or I want to give an observation of mine that I have found through my healing process when it comes to time and healing, is that I believe there's a lot of time that we need to grieve anything. I know I talked about it in my one video when I talked about loss and questions you can ask yourself to kind of explore your own loss, but I'm not talking about loss here. I'm talking about time and healing. And so I do want to be clear that I think there's a time for grief to be healed, there's probably a little bit of time in there. But then once that time kind of goes and life continues on, is really kind of shows us the result if time really healed. Now, time can create us an opportunity to be able to view things differently. I believe that's true. Like over time, we can start to dissect and see things and go, oh, I see this very differently than I did before. So how does time then heal over time, right? We think about time healing all wounds over time. And like I said, there's many occasions we can see that it doesn't do that. My belief is that it's not the time that heals a wound. It is that you've decided to heal your own wound. You decided to let something go. You decided to use the information you gained for your benefit and move forward. You've decided to see it a certain way and now you're moving on. It is the deciding that is the most important facet when it comes to time. Now, time is just the measure. Like we can measure if things changed over time because, right, we need time as the measurement. So where I started here, and if I see myself now doing things differently, over time I can measure that there's been a difference. But my decision to change it happened here. It just took time to catch up, to show me that I've actually made that change. So when it comes to time healing all wounds, I've seen many people that have lost loved ones, that have struggled through some difficult things, and they have not let it go. I'm not saying that they have to let it go. I don't believe that anybody should tell you you have to let something go. Because first of all, if somebody else tells you to do that, then that's not coming from you and it's not really going to matter. It's not going to resonate with you. You have to decide it for yourself. So that's where I want to pose the question is that are we going to wait for time to happen over whatever period we think is appropriate in order to change our thought about it and decide how we want to view it? Or could we let time lapse a little bit and then make the decision and then move forward from that? The decision process of deciding is really the biggest, I feel like it's the biggest power we have as human beings, is that we get to decide. And when we make a decision based on the way that we're viewing the world and how we want to view the world, right? Not what we think the world is offering us. Because sometimes, right, the world offers us this information and we think, well, that information's crap. I don't want that. And so now we're resisting it. We're pushing against it. Other times the world offers us this information and we're like, oh, this is what I'm going to choose. I'm going to choose that. And I like these things. And this is how I want to live my life. Now, either way, you've made a decision. Whether you've decided that all the world's offered you, that it's garbage, or whether you picked and choose what you wanted, or you chose to perceive it the way you wanted to, you've made a decision. So it's within making decisions and deciding our superpower lies. When we decide, and the only thing that time is good for in the sense of deciding is that it can measure out how badly you decided. Like if you really decided that that is the way you're going to live your life, and over time you see that there's a change in that, well, that's what time measured. Time measured that you've made that change. So my thing is, time is a beautiful thing. We're granted it. We don't know how much time we're granted. So, right, making the most of your time can be really important. So I think it's more about making the most of your time than to view it as time heals all wounds. If you want to be healed, you have to decide that you want to view it a certain way so that it will heal you. You have to decide that without anybody else changing anything. And that can be really challenging because, right, we want people to have consequences. We want people to pay for their, what they did to us. We have these ideas as humans that there needs to be justice. I'm not saying that there doesn't need to be justice, but when you're holding on to something that is taking away your joy, because you haven't decided to let it go, who's the one that's hurting? Usually it's us. We're the ones hurting. We're holding on to something because we have yet decided to let it go. And we're waiting for time to happen to make that decision. What I want to offer to you is that you can decide when that is for you. You can let it go and let time show you what you've created because you've decided something, right? Let time show you your rewards for deciding to let it go, for becoming that person you want to be, deciding that it's worth it, that it's time for you to move on. So when it comes to time and deciding, I think deciding is really the most important thing when it comes to time. Because like I said, right, time is a gift. It's a blessing. The time that we have right now at this moment is the only time we're given right now at this moment because it will change. We get just this moment. So invest your time wisely. Choose your time wisely. Decide with intent. So you can decide to create the life that you wanted from the things that happen in our lives. Because we can't control the circumstances, but we can control how we decide to see those circumstances. All right, my friends, have a wonderful week. I look forward to talking to you again next week. And don't forget to decide to have a beautiful one. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.